Hi, everybody. How you doing? You holding in there? I hope so. Things are looking up today. It's actually a good day for the markets. It is Thursday, July 28th, 2022 at 4:06 p.m. and everything is up. Bitcoin is up. Ethereum is up. The stock market is up. Even my favorite microcap coin, Giddy, is up quite a bit. Bitcoin is presently at, let's just pull this up, shall we? Bitcoin is at $23,986.59, up 5.5% over the last 24 hours. Ethereum is up to $1,745, up 8.8% in the last 24 hours. And Giddy, not shown on the screen, is up. Maybe I should pull it up because this is actually quite substantial. Giddy is up 20% in the last 24 hours. Giddy. Now, that sounds like a lot, and relatively speaking, it is, but it's up to 4.5 cents, which is what it was at a few days ago. Those big pump numbers, up 20%, they start to look not that impressive. Like, look at that. That's a big jump, right? Well, let's look at the last week, shall we? We're jumping back to where we were a few days ago. So, yeah, don't get too excited, because when you zoom out and you look at the 3-month, you can't even see the pump that's happening right now. It's at 4.5 cents. I was expecting it to be more at 45 cents when I invested. C'est la vie, can't win them all. My portfolio measured in Satoshis, measured in Bitcoin, is down. I should have exited this position earlier. But thankfully, Bitcoin is up, so my purchasing power measured in dollars is up substantially. Like we said, everything is up. But first, before we dive into the markets, let's look at our AI art game. Today, I am not going to use Crayon as I've been doing in previous live streams. I'm going to use pixels.ai, Pixelz.ai. This is a new one. You have to pay for it, but you start off with 10 credits. So why not? Let's give it a shot, shall we? From a previous stream, I got the prompt, Scrooge McDuck diving into a pool of Bitcoins. Let's see what that produces. This supposedly produces like photoreal stuff. So, did it do it? Are we producing the image? My credits went down. I don't know what happens next from here because I've literally never used this before, but I've seen some of the results and they are pretty cool. All right, we will come back to that. As we saw, Giddy is up, Bitcoin's up, Ethereum's up. This is Giddy's price action over the last, well, its whole life, really, a few months, and you can barely see the rise from today. But everything else is up, too. Look at those greens at the top, the Dow Jones, the S&P, the NASDAQ. Apple is up. It beats revenues and profits projections. Amazon is up. Roku is down, sadly, which is really a shame because they have a pretty interesting looking biopic of Weird Al coming out starring Daniel Radcliffe. They just released this poster yesterday. You got to love these child actors like Daniel Radcliffe and like, who played Frodo Baggins? That guy. Who grow up, become adults. They were stars before they were even in adulthood. And now they just do what they want. These guys pick the weirdest roles for their movies. I love it. Truly, there's no irony in that. I love that they are picking the weirdest roles they can for the rest of their acting career. I'm sure already know this, but we are now officially in a recession. We'll talk about this more as we move further into the stream today. But the U.S. is now officially in a recession after 2 consecutive quarters of negative GDP growth. Bitcoin is the escape hatch. Bitcoin is the lifeboat. Bitcoin is the only real sure shot you have of getting out of the ever-accelerating mess that our broader society seems to be hurtling into. Dennis Porter and Mike Alfred did a co-tweet. Have you seen this yet? On Twitter, they now allow you to co-author a tweet, so you both have it in your timelines. You're both the authors of it. Interesting way to do this. Dennis Porter and Mike Alfred are both saying that the bottom is in. We will not drop below 17,600 again. Screenshot this for proof. They may be right. The broader trend lines seem to indicate that it would be a pretty severe outlier for us to go back down that far. Could happen, may happen. And there are models that say that it will happen, like this one. If you look at technical analysts that draw flags like this, here is a very wide flag spanning years, going back to 2021, beginning of 2020, end of 2020, beginning of 2021. that seems to indicate that we are coming up on a drop in price where it would go down to 15K or lower, which is crazy, but we live in crazy times. Crazy stuff happens all the time. The last couple of years have been a nonstop stream of crazy. So I'm not going to be so bold as to say this is impossible. However, if you just look at let's see, I should have pulled this up, Bitcoin logarithmic regression line. These charts seem to indicate that we will not go down to those low prices ever again.
Hey everyone.
Oh, this is Benjamin Cohen, another YouTuber who has great stuff. If you've never watched his technical analysis before, I do highly recommend it. His logarithmic regression lines seem to indicate that we won't go down that far again. However, he has made it very clear that these logarithmic regression lines need to be updated periodically, and he is about to update his regression lines. So it's not unreasonable to think that that line angle may be lowered a little bit. Something that has happened a lot throughout the history of Bitcoin and people projecting the price is I have seen people saying, here, there's a clear pattern, it's up and up and up, which is true. But they play pretty fast and loose with the angle and the curve of those lines. And I've seen people say, see, look, Bitcoin will be at $1 million by 2022 because of this line. And I'm like, but doesn't the actual price action show that it's a diminishing curve and you seem to be drawing a straight line? And then they hand wave it away and say, like, it's just a line, my guy. Dan Held has done that exact thing to my great annoyance. Moving on. From Mike Germano, not somebody that I'm previously familiar with, president of Bitcoin Magazine. Well, that's somebody that I'll start following. He said, my son came home so excited to show me his new haircut. Mohawk with Bitcoin B on the side, which is very punk rock. Something that I have thought and discussed before is the fact that Bitcoin will win by virtue of a younger generation adopting it. My kids are going to grow up in a world where Bitcoin is not weird. Bitcoin is perfectly normal. They will never know a time when Bitcoin wasn't around. Non-state money will be perfectly normal to them because they will have grown up in a house where I've talked about it a fair amount. I'm not teaching them. I'm not indoctrinating them. It's just something that I'm interested in. It comes up every now and then, and they actively ask me about it. So that is happening in a lot of places. As adoption rolls out, as adoption broadens, and as time passes, there's going to be a generation of people who find this perfectly normal, nothing abnormal about it, and they're going to use it because it's just as real as any U.S. green dollar that they've ever used. Speaking of people and adoption and time, there are 7.9 billion people in the world. There's only 21 million Bitcoin. That's a great visualization to show the stark contrast there. There is not enough for everyone. There isn't even enough for every millionaire to have a whole Bitcoin. But you right now probably have as good a chance as anyone ever will from henceforth and forever to own a whole Bitcoin. Now's your chance. Strike now. Says Austin, who still hasn't deployed his capital G's. I just need to buy in. It's going to keep going up, and I'm going to regret not buying at this price. I have a little bit of cash set aside specifically to buy, and now the price is starting to get away from me. I'm going to do the same thing I did last time. I'm going to bite when it's already starting to go up. It's okay, though, because it'll continue to go up over the long run. From Joe Burnett, who has made several appearances in recent live streams on this channel. In the long run, exponentially more dollars get created and exponentially fewer Bitcoin get created. I'm going to say fewer because this is a pet peeve of mine. When people mix up less and fewer, there's a grammatical distinction there that a lot of people overlook. Kind of bugs me. So I will make the correction for him. Again, in the long run, exponentially more dollars get created and exponentially fewer Bitcoin get created. This is the ultimate collision of two exponential functions. Fireworks are inevitable. He's right. And this is what got me interested in Bitcoin in the first place. This seemed like the confluence of the collision of the immovable object and the unstoppable force. Government being the immovable object. Bitcoin being the unstoppable force. There is no way to kill this still nascent decentralized network. How? How would you do it? What would an attack look like? What is something that could bring down the Bitcoin network? I have a very hard time imagining a scenario where that happens. There are theoretical ways to do it, and over enough time and with enough coordination, it could theoretically happen. I don't see any of those factors at play right now. I don't see any trend lines that take us there. So, the immovable object and the unstoppable force, who's going to win? My bet is on the unstoppable force, because the immovable object, governments, are losing their power, as we've talked about at length. Balaji Srinivasan, Ray Dalio, Vinay Gupta, and others have talked extensively about how power centers are losing their power. From @Bitcoin quotes, O with a 0, interesting, a little leet speak. Getting rich by holding Bitcoin is not an unfair reward for doing nothing. It's the market's just reward for divesting your wealth out of central banking and all of the death, destruction, and decivilization it brings to the world. This quote from Saifuddin Amus. That is true. The people who say that you are getting rewarded for doing nothing clearly do not understand the risk-reward paradigm of investing. It is a huge risk to put your money someplace very early when it is unpopular, when it is poorly understood by most people. It is a huge risk. You are probably going to lose it in most bets. This is one of the rare bets where you're not going to. Given enough time, this wins. The basic architecture is such that there really is no way to kill it. There really is no way that it stops growing. We have crossed the Rubicon. The deed is done, folks. This is a fire that can't be extinguished. The flame of Bitcoin continues to spread. From Bitcoin Magazine, the experts who said inflation was transitory will now say the U.S. is not in a recession. Hodl Bitcoin. This is said as though it's a predictive thing. The officials will say it's future tense, but they're already saying this. A tweet from yours truly, officials are just lying. It's just part of their job. I have noted this about the White House press secretary for a long time. Not this press secretary, but all of them. It is part of the job description. You are liar-in-chief for the White House. That's your job. This White House press secretary is no different. She was asked point blank, is the White House trying to change the common definition of a recession? Karine, is that her name? Karine Jean-Pierre. We're seeing the strength of the economy and the labor market. She specifically calls out the labor market as a reason, an indicator that we're not in a recession. And denied, flat out, that we are in a recession, even though the widely held definition of a recession is 2 quarters of economic decline. That has been accepted for many, many, many years. And now the Biden administration wants to redefine things. Double speak at its finest, folks. That's not the definition. Wherever did you get that? Well, virtually every economist for a long time standing. If we can't have shared language and shared definitions, then what do we have? Can't even talk to each other. So she says this, the labor market is strong. We're not in a recession. Jerome Powell, the Fed chair, said virtually the same thing. He cites the strength of the U.S. labor market, among other indicators, as evidence the economy is not currently in a recession. I wonder what Investopedia would have to say about this. Let's look at their entry under economic lagging indicators. Some general examples of lagging indicators include the unemployment rate, the labor market. It's the first example offered of lagging indicators. So what can we garner from this? Well, if they're telling us we're not in a recession, even though everybody can plainly see that we are, and the commonly held definition for a recession has been met, it would be my expectation that we're about to see a spike in unemployment, because there are many charts, numerous charts. You can go Google this. This is from the Brookings Institute, but this is a chart that shows recessionary areas in gray and unemployment. What happens after a recession hits? We see a rise in unemployment. So, if history is any indicator, we're probably going to see unemployment go up in the near future. Moving on, El Salvador is constantly attacked in the media because the legacy players fear that more countries will follow them to adopt a Bitcoin standard. This is true. El Salvador is playing the long game, and I don't know if you've ever seen this video from Derek Sivers. Derek Sivers is a technologist who started CD Baby. He's also a really interesting speaker and writer. He has a book called Anything You Want. Oh, you're seeing all of my search history. Great. Nothing incriminating in there, thankfully. But Derek Sivers, TED Talk. He gave a TED Talk about how movements start. And there's this famous video that he talks about. I believe Seth Godin has also spoken about this particular example. This is from a long time ago. This video was uploaded. When was this uploaded? Can't tell. Don't see the date on here, but this TED Talk is very old. Years and years old. This is at a music festival, and you can see somebody dancing, and they start off dancing alone. One crazy guy dancing by himself out on a green field. February 2010, that's when this is from. So, crazy guy dancing by himself. And what happens? Look at that lunatic. Nobody wants to join him. He's crazy. How stupid. Oh, wait, somebody else went to join him. I guess he does look like he's kind of having some fun. Maybe somebody else will go join him. Well, this, as Malcolm Gladwell would call it, might be a tipping point pretty soon. Let's speed up the video. Have you all seen this before? I do recommend this TED Talk. Sivers is a really interesting character. He's in his soul, he's much more of an artist than a conventional businessman. And I think that comes through in his talk and his books and his business. Look at this. More people coming to join the lunatic, presumably on some kind of euphoric drug. And now the crowd comes. This is what officials are afraid is going to happen with El Salvador. That it's just going to look like it's working out for them. They're having fun. Maybe all the rest of us should come dancing too. And all the little nations with nothing to lose, who've been given the short stick by the United States, the dollar, the World Bank, they're just going to go join El Salvador and dance with Nayib Bukele. I didn't plan on going off on that little tangent, but that's a fun video, and I do recommend you check that one out. All right, moving ahead. Where were we? Ah, yes. El Salvador is constantly attacked in the media because the legacy players fear that more countries will follow them to adopt a Bitcoin standard. Again, from Mike Alfred, who's getting a lot of love in this live stream. I spoke with 7 publicly traded Bitcoin mining CEOs this week in Miami. While there are certainly industry-wide challenges at $20,000 BTC, I have never been more bullish on the future of this space. I am continuing to systemically add to several of the leading names. Mining is difficult business, to say the least. Lots of turnover in that space. For largely the same reason that mining is fair and good as a monetary policy. It's because you can't fake energy. There's no way to game that system. Energy is a physical reality that can't be counterfeit. So if you're using energy to mine Bitcoin and everybody can't get some fundamental advantage there, your advantages are only marginal at best, then it is a business with lots of turnover. It's very difficult. It's very cutthroat. But it's been around now for well over a decade, and the players in the space understand that, plan for it, and are a lot better at it than they used to be. And there's starting to be arrangements like what we've seen in El Salvador, where they're tapping into previously untapped energy sources. This is good not just for Bitcoin, but for the energy grid in the world broadly. So I think Mike Alfred is right. There is reason to be bullish on the Bitcoin mining scene, especially as people understand more and more that Bitcoin mining is a elasticity increaser on the grid, and that this is a net positive for carbon emissions, meaning it's good for the atmosphere. It's not going to increase emissions. Oh, anyway, let's move on from there. Again, from Mike Alfred, when we get to 100,000, a lot of people aren't going to have very much Bitcoin because they got too cute with chart voodoo at $20,000. Listen, I'm as guilty of this as anybody. I did some chart voodoo at the beginning of this live stream, and I have fallen prey to this exact line of logic. I realized recently, measured in Bitcoin, I have less Bitcoin now than I did just a little while ago because I've invested in these other coins. Giddy specifically, it's up 23.8% today. I'm still nowhere near where I bought. It doesn't get me ahead. Nobody can see the future. Nobody. Not the best chart analyst. Nobody. That's the fundamental nature of the future, is we can't tell exactly what's going to happen. So, advice to you and me, stop playing chart voodoo and just stack sats. It's the can't lose strategy. This is interesting. Former Republicans and Democrats to form a new third U.S. political party co-chaired by Andrew Yang and Christine Todd Whitman. I have not yet read this article, but I have heard a lot from Andrew Yang through his last presidential run, and there was all kinds of chatter about this new political party for a long time before this announcement. I am, shall we say, bearish on this for a variety of reasons. One, I think that this third party will not in any way be welcomed by the existing political infrastructure. The existing powers will do everything they can to disenfranchise this third group. Sorry, Andrew Yang didn't make it very far in the last presidential election that he was part of, and I don't think his party will get very far. I also think that it is systemically biased against. Here I am recommending more videos that are not part of my channel. If you have not seen this Minority Rule First Past the Post Voting video from CGP Grey, I highly recommend it. It explains in very clear, simple terms that even a child could understand why our voting system in the United States is such that it will always tend toward a two-party system. There's nothing in our laws that says there are only ever going to be two parties, but there is structural bias that tends toward two parties over time. So until you change that structure, there is in no way going to be a welcome place for a third party. What a third party would have to do is to rapidly and radically overthrow one of the existing parties and take its place, still leaving only two parties. And these parties will always basically even out at 50-50, splitting the population. It's ugly. I don't like it. I think we need to systemically change how we do voting so that we can have some different outcomes. I also don't think that we're going to see that anytime soon. Now, in these live streams, I've talked largely about tweets that are going out, what I've been reading, the signal that I'm getting in crypto Twitter, in Bitcoin Twitter, really. I pay less attention to broader crypto Twitter than I used to. But should I be looking at Twitter or should I be looking elsewhere? This is Stacker News. This is a site that I learned about recently. It's similar to Hacker News, if you're not familiar. Hacker News is the forum, I believe, run by Y Combinator. If I'm wrong about that, please let me know. But Stacker News is a Bitcoin news forum that integrates Lightning payments. Now, this is really interesting. When you upvote something in a conventional Web 2 social network, that is just imaginary hoo-ha. It's internet karma points that mean nothing in the real world. If you have tens of thousands of karma points on Reddit, that's neat on Reddit, and maybe neat to somebody else who has a Reddit account and spends a lot of time there. It means nothing in the real world. It actually changes your life very little. You can't directly monetize that. It's very indirect and very not guaranteed. However, what if your internet karma points were actually micropayments? Wouldn't that be neat? Well, this is not a new idea, but I think Stacker News has a really graceful implementation of this idea. I've signed up. I've started to go through here. And if I click this little button right here, it sends 10 sats. 10 Satoshis via the Lightning Network to the person that posted this. It's very easy. This is a post about onion routing on the Lightning Network. Hi, I just wrote a tweet thread about how onion routing works at a high level on the Lightning Network. Would love to answer any follow-up or deep dive questions people might have about it in this thread. Now, I sent 10 Satoshis, but you could send any amount that you want because the Lightning Network, if you haven't heard, it's essentially free. It scales with the amount that you're sending. If you send 1 Satoshi, how does that work if you send 1 Satoshi? I don't know. If you do, let me know in the comments. But if you send 10 Satoshis, the amount that you pay is vanishingly little, near zero. This is the tweet thread about onion routing. It is a great thread. I'm not going to read all the way through it because that's not what I do on this channel, but it is from John Cantrell at JohnCantrell97. It is about how the Lightning Network preserves privacy by routing things through Tor and the Onion Network. Did I get that right? Onion routing, yeah. Onion routing is a technique used by both the Tor project and Bitcoin's Lightning Network to enhance user privacy. TLDR. Is there a TLDR? I think there is. In summary, here it is. In summary, onion routing on the Lightning Network is a way to route payments that provides a significant amount of privacy. One of the main criticisms of Bitcoin is that the coins are arguably non-fungible because you can see the history of all of these payments. Well, if it goes through L2, if it goes through the Lightning Network, that is no longer true. The Lightning Network provides incredible privacy. I really like the Lightning Network, as I've said at length. I also like tools that are being built on top of the Lightning Network, like Stacker News. So this person echoes some of my feelings. Hi there, quick comment. It's infuriating me that so many Bitcoiners want the world economy to collapse to adopt Bitcoin, and the same domino and house of card metaphors. It's annoying. As I was saying in a previous stream, do you want more people to get on the lifeboat, or do you want to watch the Titanic sink and smugly look on and say, I told them so, they deserve what's coming to them? I, for one, want people on the lifeboat. Hot tub mine machine heating a hot tub with a Bitcoin miner. Okay. That sounds really interesting. I'm going to have to dig into that. Might even have to make one. Might even have to do a video on it. But for the time being, what I want to show you is that I'm going to send sats. I just sent that person 10 sats. I just sent them 10 more. But Austin, how do you fund your wallet? Let's do it right now. Let's click on fund. I'm going to open Strike on my phone. I have a little bit of Bitcoin on Strike. Strike fully integrates the Lightning Network. I'm going to pay, let's see. Let's generate an invoice for 1,000 Satoshis. I'm going to pull up my Strike app, and when this creates a QR code, there it is. I have now scanned that with Strike. I'm confirming that I'm sending 1,000 Satoshis, which is about 24 cents. Waiting for confirmation. There it is. Took about 5 seconds, and it's done. And I'll continue to use that to credit people on Stacker News. Those micropayments, thankfully, I think, can stack up. If I had payments for all of my social engagement over the last 15 years, geez, my life might be a little bit different today. All right. This is not the first time this has been attempted. There was something called Peepeth. I signed into my Peepeth account for the first time in 4 years. This was an effort to duplicate Twitter using Ethereum. You have to link to an outside wallet, and then when you like and retweet, it gives people a little bit of coin. You cannot tip yourself, it tells me. Peepeth was all kinds of hyped when it came out years ago, but I really have not used it at all since then. I just signed in for the first time. Let's see if it even still works. Is there anyone on here worth crediting? This all just looks like spam. A little progress each day adds up to big results. Sure, fine. Can I give this person a little bit of coin? Tip, $5? $1? No, I'm not doing that. Micropayments need to be way lower than that. That is why the Lightning Network is going to work, and Peepeth didn't. And a lot of others won't either. If you don't pick the right layer 1, if you're not built on top of sound money, this isn't going to work. Sorry, Peepeth. I was very excited for Peepeth. I wanted it to work, but it appears to have not worked. But I think Stacker News is and will, because the Lightning Network is and will, because Bitcoin is and will work. Oh, that's what I got today. One more thing, folks. The FTC, the Federal Trade Commission, files to block Meta from buying VR fitness studio Within. This acquisition was announced ages ago, and Meta is investing billions of dollars, tens, hundreds of billions of dollars in developing consumer VR. And the Federal Trade Commission wants to stop them because they're going to create a monopoly here. Okay, who are the other players in the VR fitness space? Can you name any? Could you have even named this one, Within, as a leader in that space? There is no space here without Meta investing tens and hundreds of billions of dollars in consumer VR. This wasn't a category, not in any meaningful sense, until Meta bought Oculus and started sinking money into it. And it's a huge, huge, huge gamble. They may successfully develop the metaverse and may actually lose out to other companies that come in and piggyback off their progress. That is a very real possibility. If you don't believe me, go find John Coogan's YouTube channel and watch some of his videos on the topic. This is absurd. The FTC is just pretending to do something useful here. Meta is taking a huge, huge gamble. And who stands to benefit? Virtually everyone. You, me, any consumer interested in using VR, anybody who might benefit from the productivity gains of virtual reality in the future. All of us stand to benefit from that huge gamble that they're taking, and the FTC wants to shut them down because they may someday have a monopoly. These federal agencies, as I followed up in this tweet, federal agencies like the FTC and SEC need to, like any top-heavy organization, busy themselves to look like they're doing something helpful, even when they're impotent at best and obstructing markets and progress more likely. Another example of this from Austin Allred, the founder of Bloom Tech. He said, "Good morning. Just thought you should know that the Better Business Bureau is nothing more than a modern day protection scam. Your grade is based on whether or not you make the payments required to reply to complaints, not based on the validity of the complaints." All of these three-letter organizations, the SEC, the FTC, the Better Business Bureau, all of them, they're just pretending to be helpful. It is a scam designed to look like it's helping and protecting you. They are not. Rid yourself of that idea. As we saw earlier, these organizations do nothing but lie. Increasingly, that is their official business. They have to preserve their continually diminishing power. Opt out. Ignore them. Buy Bitcoin. Build on Bitcoin. That's where the future is. All right, team. That's what I have today. Let me know down in the comments what you would like to see in future streams. Oh, some comments from Ian Rand McKenzie. Hi, barely missed you again. Hope you have a good day, rest of your day. Thank you, Ian Rand McKenzie. I really appreciate your positive input. Honestly, it means a lot. I really appreciate the comments. When it comes to AR versus VR, I think AR will win. As Balaji said in the Ferris podcast, humans are mobile, AR is mobile. Yeah, VR has had some severe problems with the way it isolates people. I think there's going to be a lot of really amazing technology that comes out of Facebook funneling so much money into developing VR, but it won't necessarily be a Facebook product that we all end up using. So I am bullish on the VR category. I'm bullish on the AR category. I am not necessarily betting on Facebook being the ultimate winner there. They certainly are a contender, and maybe they come out on top, but maybe others come and piggyback on their progress. All right. That's my stream for the day. We'll have more in the future. Hope you have your stacks in place because we are on the rise. We'll see if it continues. Later, team.